Yo, whoa, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. I bring you guys a brand new video today, and today we have a ton of stuff to unpack about Pokemon Legends Arceus, as they have dropped a new trailer that is a bit of a teaser, much like the Glimwood Tangle event that they did for the release of Galarian Ponyta. It seems as though we may have a new Hisuian Pokemon right in front of us on this new teaser trailer, but we're gonna do a little investigating and break that down. And further, there is a new leaker that has taken to Twitter under the guise of Ball Guy, and from the people I've talked to so far, they seem to have some credibility, and some of these things are checking out. So a lot of stuff to dive into on this one. Be sure to hit that like button down below if you guys enjoy, and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Make sure you guys watch the whole thing, because we've got a lot to unpack. And if you haven't done so yet and you want to, you can pre-order Pokemon Legends Arceus or Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl through my link at Best Buy, and you get the hookup of all the different pre-order bonuses that come with it. The double pack of BDSP comes with a sweet keychain, and you won't miss out on that Manaphy Egg event. And then for Legends Arceus, you'll get the Growlithe Kimono, and of course, all those heavy balls. So if you guys want to pre-order, it helps me out a tremendous amount. You can check the link in the description below. Doesn't cost you anything extra. You just get it from Best Buy's website, and like I said, it helps me out a ton, like a crazy amount. So check it out if you guys are interested. But let's dive into this trailer. All right, so I'm gonna play this with the audio off because it's really brutal to listen to. But ultimately, there's a guy who's in the tundra-esque part of the Sinnoh region or Hisuian region, and it seems as though this is probably in the northwestern corner of the map, which is where you would expect Snow Point City to be and things like that. And he goes to say that he's documenting some footage, and you know, he sees it. First of all, it's you know, it's pretty crazy out here. It's very cold. You know, he sees, shortly we'll see him recognize a Pokemon here. He says everything is blanketed in snow. He's looking around, and you can see the footage is very much so distorted. How this dude has a camera, I have no idea. But he gets really jazzed up because there's Wild Snorunt, right? So that's the big thing. So he sees Wild Snorunt out there kind of running around and things like that. So does this have some sort of tie to Snorunt? My guess is probably not. And I'll talk about my theories when we kind of play through this, right? So I'll just be real. I mean, we're watching this, but there's not a whole lot to gather from this. But he does provide a description at the end of kind of what this Pokemon is, and he starts to describe it. But as you can see, I mean, I can tell you I've watched the trailer a bunch of times. I've seen other people watch the trailer dozens of times, and there's not a ton that you're gonna get from this, right? So let's not, you know, go too crazy with this, but there's a description that he provides of this Pokemon. So he asks if it's a Growlithe. He says, no, a Vulpix? No, it's not that. So it's not a Growlithe, it's not a Vulpix. He said the tip of its tail is red and swaying. It's turning this way. And then he proceeds to talk about how cute it is. It's adorable, which tells me it's probably a lower stage Pokemon, a base stage. The white fur on its head and around its neck is so fluffy. Its eyes are round and yellow. And then, you know, what's that? And then, you know, things kind of go crazy and it just goes nuts. And that's really that. That's the trailer. So a lot of people are speculating what this Pokemon could be, so let's give our thoughts. So the first one I really like here is actually from Mimi Picks Ice on Twitter, and they actually go on to just kind of discuss the idea that they think this is a Litleo. Litleo is a quadrupedal leonine Pokemon. It has a tail tip and face. It's got circular black eyes with white pupils. There's a reddish orange tuft of fur between its ears. And Litleo is a hot-blooded Pokemon that is curious by nature and quick to start fights. They bring this out with the various things that we have here about, is it a Growlithe? No. A Vulpix? No. The tip of its tail is red and swaying. The white fur on top of its head and around its neck is so fluffy. Its eyes are round and yellow. So potentially describing this to be a Litleo. And I think everyone's under the same assumption that this, whatever this is, it's a new Pokemon or a new form, right? I mean, why would they tease it otherwise? So Litleo was one of the ideas that I saw, and another one of the ideas that I saw that I really liked was Zorua, a potentially new Zorua farm. Because when you think of Pokemon that have, you know, kind of the mane and it's fluffy, it's got, you know, fur on the top of its head, its eyes being round and yellow, and then the tip of its tail being red and swaying, potentially a new Zorua form. So those are two of the theories that I've seen getting passed around that have kind of been speculated. I know my man Austin John Plays, he said that he thought it could have been Hisuian Arcanine. All due respect, Austin, I don't think this has anything to do with Arcanine personally. I feel like, you know, they said, is it a Growlithe? No, it's not a Growlithe. So I feel like there's nothing to do with Arcanine here, and the, you know, the context of it being cute, it makes me feel like it's probably not Arcanine, because that is probably going to be more menacing. So we'll have to wait and see what's going on with this. If you have any speculation or theories, you can put them in the comments section below. but I have a feeling that in the next, probably couple days, they're gonna reveal what this is. So kind of a unique way for them to tease a new Pokemon. Excited to see what's coming for this reveal, because eventually they're gonna show us what it is, and I think it's gonna be a new Hisuian form, of course. Now we're gonna shift gears to this leak, right? And I wanna say that we're gonna take this leak with a grain of salt, because again, it is someone posting on the internet. We don't know if it's real or not, but I will tell you, last night I had someone hit me up, someone who's very reputable in the community. I'm not gonna say who it was, but they're very reputable, not Centro. And they hit me up and said, hey, listen, I don't know if you saw the ball guy leaks, but I'll tell you that they're real, right? There's someone out there who is leaking real information right now. And, actually, they didn't tell me it was the ball guy, but they told me that someone was leaking real information. And I found this account. It's gaining a lot of traction right now. And it seems as though a lot of people are buying into this. So, again, take it with a grain of salt, but it seems pretty interesting. So, they first post 18 hours ago on a new account that says Gen 9 is in 2022, which I still have a really hard time believing, but it's not impossible. VDSP, Primal Dialga and Palkia leak is fake. They still get a new form like Origin Giratina. So apparently there's new forms for Dialga and Palkia, but they're not primal forms. And then it goes on to say there's no DLC for VDSP, which I'm not surprised to see anyway. Then it talks about Legends Arceus, 7 new Pokemon, 17 Hisuian forms, and then breaks down the starter evolutions. Grass fighting, saying that Rowlet is turning into a grass and fighting type Pokemon. Water Dark, saying that Oshawott is gonna turn into a new Water Dark type. And Cyndaquil is gonna turn into a fire and ghost type. No DLC. So this is pretty crazy, and those are some out there final starter types. I'm of the belief that we are getting new starter evolutions, right? I think we're getting new evolutions of the starters. They haven't shown us anything of them evolving. No Dartrix, no, none of them. We haven't seen, Quilava, any of them Pokemon. So I really do believe that we're gonna get new starter evolutions. And this is saying the typings. Whether that comes to fruition or not, I don't know. But this is something to keep our eye on. I'm gonna be following this account because they drop more information on top of this. And all this does seem, it's out there, because to me, I'm like, how is there Gen 9 in 2022? How is there no DLC for Legends Arceus? But those are some pretty bold claims to make, and it makes me feel like it's more legit, you know what I mean? Instead of just kind of what everyone is regurgitating. They then go on to say that the climbing Pokemon seen in the original Legends Arceus leak is the evolution of Sneasel. Which is interesting, because again, this comes out of left field. A lot of people looking at this climbing Pokemon and saying, oh, this is probably, it might be related to Nuzleaf. It's a new This guy's coming out and saying it's the evolution of Sneasel. That's pretty wild, right? So there's still more. There's still more. This guy comes out with a lot of stuff. And again, we'll know probably pretty quickly whether this is true or not. Now, I will make a point here. The person goes on to send a few messages in Japanese. I reached out to a fluent, well, actually, they reached out to me, but I spoke to someone who's fluent in Japanese, and they told me that the Japanese was suspect. And they said it could be for a few reasons. One, they could have tried to simplify their Japanese to make it easier for people to understand. Two, they're trying to throw Nintendo off their scent if they are a legitimate leaker and they want to make sure that they don't get caught. They're trying to make it seem like they're in Japan or whatever it may be. But my understanding is, and I know nothing about Japanese, is their Japanese is less than perfect. It's not, the understanding is that this person is clearly not a native first language Japanese speaker from what I've gathered. They then go on, and there's a lot to unpack here, it's pretty wild. They go on to post another post about baby Pokemon, and they say in Legends Arceus, a baby Pokemon line received a new Hisuian form, and it shows this image here of all the baby Pokemon, but crosses off Elekid, Magby, Chingling, and Munchlax, and Riolu, all of the ones we've seen so far. So which one of these lines are gonna get a new Hisuian form? The one that stands out the most to me would be the Togepi line, simply because Togepi is, obviously gets the evolutions in Sinnoh. It's an important Pokemon in Sinnoh. That's the one that stands out to me the most. But at the same time, we'll have to wait and see. There's some pretty interesting things. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've seen Wobbuffet, and I'm pretty sure we've seen Mr. Mime in trailers already. So that kind of eliminates some of those. But ultimately, we'll have to see which one of these Pokemon, if this does come true, do receive a new form. I mean, some pretty interesting stuff. I really don't know. The person then goes on to talk about the fact that they're not very good at English. They're Japanese. Should I speak Japanese? I don't remember the names of all the Western Pokemon. But again, their Japanese is questionable. So we gotta take this with a grain of salt. But from what I understand, a lot of people are latching onto these as the most credible leaks we've seen so far coming out, aside from the Chinese RIDDLER. in, you know, Legends Arceus and kind of what's going on in kind of the leak realm right now. So I'm gonna be watching this like a hawk. I'll keep reporting on it, but again, just take it with a grain of salt, and we'll have to see what comes after this. So we're pretty close to a new Pokemon reveal here, right? That the kind of teaser trailer of the guy filming in the, you know, wilderness and describing a Pokemon. Maybe it's Zorua, maybe it's Litleo, maybe it's something totally different, a new Pokemon we've never seen before. We'll have to wait and see, but I think they're gonna give us that confirmation or the conclusion to this relatively soon, I would imagine. And of course, these leaks, crazy things, man. I mean, I would love to see a Fire and Ghost Typhlosion variant, and a Water and you know, Dark Samurott variant, and a Grass and Fighting type Decidueye evolution. I mean, those are some really cool things. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Don't forget to use my Best Buy link if you want to pre-order Legends Arceus or BDSP. It helps me out a tremendous amount, so think of me and use the link in the description. And that's gonna be that, guys. I'm out of here. Let me know your thoughts on this mysterious Pokemon and these leaks, or rumors, whatever you want to call them, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Pikachu!